Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with another Napoleon retreats before Moscow. We're now on to German battleships at Brest, Field of Fury of the RAF. December 18th, 1941. Daylight raid on Brest. Ever since March, when the German battle cruiser Scharnhorst and Gneinhaus entered the harbor at Brest to refuel after a raiding expedition in the Atlantic, these ships had been repeatedly attacked by the RAF, and several direct hits scored. In May, they were rejoined by the heavy cruiser Prince Eugen, which had managed to reach port after the action with the Bismarck, which the Bismarck was sunk. Attacks on these three valuable ships continued throughout the year, and the fact that they were unable to be put to sea showed that they had suffered considerable damage. On December 18th, a particularly heavy daylight attack was made on these ships by Stirling, Halifax, and Manchester bombers, strongly escorted by Spitfire and Hurricane squadrons. A great weight of bombs was dropped, and direct hits were scored on the dry docks in which these ships were berthed. 5 British bombers and 1 fighter were lost at an enemy loss of 8 fighters. Above, bombers are seen over the targets during the raid. So, there we see a Halifax bomber there. There's the Scharnhorst. You can see it's up in smoke. And there's Gneihaus. Also, lots of smoke there. And there's the Prince Eugen, who is also a lot of smoke. So, yeah, it stands to reason that these got hit quite a bit. Because, these are important ships. If they can be taken down, then they won't pose any threat to the Atlantic. Which is good for the British then. Derna recaptured as the Germans retreat. December 19th, 1941. Germans retreat in Libya. After breaking out of the ring which British forces had thrown around them, the Germans in Libya retreated rapidly, pursued by mobile columns and harassed by bombers and low-flying fighters, which inflicted severe damage to their closely packed formations. On December 19th, Derna and Mekelle were entered without opposition, and by the following day, advanced British troops were within 80 miles of Benghazi and still advancing. Above, a heavily loaded Indian transport column is seen passing through Derna with supplies and equipment for the troops in the forward areas. So there we see that transport. There's more up ahead. But yeah, you can see this is packed. These soldiers need a lot of equipment and a lot of supplies, so getting as much to them as possible will help ensure that they can fight the Germans. Japanese invade the Philippines in force. December 22nd to 25th, 1941. Fighting in Luzon. After the failure of their initial attempt to gain control in the Philippines, the Japanese, on December 22nd, landed a force of about 100,000 men, together with tanks, in the Lingayen Gulf area of Luzon. Landings were also made on Mindanao, the second largest island of the group, where fighting took place in the Davao area. On this day, too, the small garrison of 400 Marines at Wake Island, the U.S. naval base, 3,000 miles to the northeast, surrendered after an heroic defense lasting 14 days. The picture above shows the ruins of San Pablo after the raid on Christmas Day. So we see, just look at the destruction. There's a few horses. But yeah, and then right on Christmas Day, that's just wrong. Yeah, the Japanese were going to fight hard for the Philippines, and they will eventually take it. The force defending it just wasn't enough to stop them at the time. The capital of Chechnya falls to the British. December 24th, 1941. Fall of Benghazi. After capturing Derna, the 8th Army continued its pursuit of the retreating enemy forces. The main German army was in the Soluk area, southeast of Benghazi, while Italians were concentrated along the coast northeast of the town. On December 21st, British forces captured Salerno and Apollina and exerted strong pressure on the Italians covering Benghazi. And on the next day, mobile columns reached the coastal plain of the Gulf of Sirte. On Christmas Eve, Benghazi was entered by the Royal Dragoons after it had been evacuated by the enemy. And the nearby airfield of Barsi was captured by Indian troops. On the same day, a mixed mobile column occupied Benina. With the fall of Benghazi, the whole of Chechnya, except for the isolated enemy garrison at Salum, Halafaya, and Bardia, came under British control. Pictures show top Axis column under fire. You can see bomb bursts, obviously, right there, each one. And then we can see shell bursts from the guns of the attacking fighters. And we can see that column is getting absolutely hammered here. Left. Bombs falling on airfield. There's the, you can see the airfield. It's pretty simple, but you can see the bombs falling on it to try to destroy any enemy resistance that could be around. And then right, sunken Axis ships. And we see a few ships there. Sunk to ensure that they could not leave port and go reinforce someplace else. A big gun on Corregidor replies to the invaders. December 1941. Defense of the islands. One of the big guns on Corregidor, the fortified rock in Manila Harbor, which inflicted severe damage on the Japanese before the gallant defenders succumbed to the constant pounding of the enemy. American and Filipino forces continued to resist the invader from this fortress long after Manila was evacuated, but outnumbered and exhausted, were forced to surrender on May 6th, 1942. Now we can see the big gun there just... And yeah, if you have a good defensible position, you can hold out for quite a long time. Obviously, eventually, yeah, like it said, they would surrender, but it was a long time that it took for them to finally surrender. The Philippines feels the fury of the Japanese. December 1941. Non-military objectives. In the picture at the top, right here, a whole row of houses in the residential section of the Pasay are shown leveled by Japanese bombs. Yeah, you can just see this whole town, or this whole row of houses is just reduced to rubble. It's very unfortunate. And then below, residents of Cavite are evacuating the town after the raid of December 10th, in which 200 bombs were dropped and 30 persons killed. Yeah, a lot of these people are evacuated because obviously, these towns are going to be, if they're going to be leveled by the Japanese, they need to get all these people out to try to save as many as possible. And yeah, the Japanese do a lot of damage to the Philippines. A lot of us in the West here don't really realize it as much, but a lot of Asia very much dislikes the Japanese even today for a lot of the things that happened in this war. Things like this. The Japanese has a lot of bad blood because of that. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.